She's like a crazy tyrant mage. Her personality is she's really smart, she's really efficient, she's a great leader, but she's also tremendously snarky, sarcastic, and she just has a lot of personality. The characters in her story are really unique and funny as well. So while the other characters have a lot of weight, with a mix of comical relief, she's mostly kind of a comic relief character.
Yeah. I think Mr. Takano also said that Veronica was his favorite.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, it's my favorite too.
Yeah,
so
yeah, people have a lot of fun with her. She's
probably
really
gonna
fun
pick
to play as well.
Veronica. Yeah. So I skipped the tutorial there. Basically, you're a knight, right? Started as a knight, and this guy kind of like.
Yeah.
You hesitated.
Yeah. So the instructor is you, the player. So you can customize your character. You'll see in a moment. But the story basically begins as you are a very high-ranking, very renowned soldier, and your senior officers like, well, the world is too small for you to just work for one country or be a mercenary. So he lets you go, and he recommends that you become an instructor, which will allow you to bestow your knowledge and skills, whether it's combat or just intelligence, onto someone else. Because you kind of compete, right?
Yeah.
So, right here, you're going to basically pick princess to train.
His dialogue, and I think this is where we kind of contemplate. This is what we're gonna do. I believe he writes books, or she. You can actually pick if it's a she.
Yeah, so you can pick your gender.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you write books, and that's kind of just the justification for having a really big diary. So you have like kind of like a compendium or encyclopedia of things that you learn on your journey. And that's a really cool part because it embodies the voice of the protagonist, the player. And it's interesting because you can pick, once you do this part here, you can pick your personality, and that influences a lot of things, not just dialogue, but the way that the diary is written. So, if you're serious, honest, your diary will be written in a way that's, very sincere and straightforward.
Yeah.
Whereas if you pick another one, it would be that way. So I encourage you guys to look at it, see the personalities, and play the ones. There's some pretty funny ones, funny personalities as well.
So we're gonna start with Veronica. Her combat style is actually my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Which is why I like picking her, but she's also pretty funny.
Right. Yeah, she's fast, but she also has a lot of like AoE huge area attacks that are really helpful for dealing with mobs.
She's got like a slow charge, sort of, I'd say, like with ghosts flying around her, and it just annihilates people in a lane. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So Veronica's story starts, basically she kidnaps the instructor. So the instructor is really famous at this point, but while the other princesses will take more of a subtle approach, like they'll request his help, she just straight up kidnaps him. This suspicious man is one of her lackeys here.
Yes, she's the Rusty Magic Guild leader, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the name of the guild, and she's basically the dictator. So in the mage world, how they determine who's a leader is simply by who's the strongest. So they have tournaments, and they just give the position of leader to whoever beats as many opponents. So Veronica just happens to be the strongest mage.
She has a habit of turning people into frogs.
Yeah, she has a bad habit of turning people into frogs.
Yeah, it happens multiple times. It's not great for some frogs.
Yep.
So it's not have the praise scold system, which we might see coming up in one of these dialogues.
Right. So praise scold is a very integral part of story and gameplay. So it kind of links the two, progression and kind of a long-term narrative. So at certain points of the game, you'll get a choice. So the choice isn't like normal RPGs where you pick one of several options. It's always going to be praise or scold because you're an instructor, right?
Yeah.
It's just kind of your style of teaching. And depending on what they say, you can choose to either reward them or you can scold them.
Yeah.
And depending on the princess, it might be a better or not so good of a response to them. And if you do more positive responses that are good for that princess, then you'll get more rewards in terms of progression. So you actually get items, you'll actually unlock skills for them that will benefit them in the long run. That'll affect gameplay.
Okay, so we're off to the dispatching part. So what's interesting is that there's actually cooldowns on your commanders, right?
Yeah, so this is the main map. It's kind of like a war map type thing where each of those nodes, the blue ones, the red ones also that represent enemies, they're like chess pieces. So when they touch each other, or when you go to certain nodes like a mission or a battle node, you'll be able to start battle. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of things like cooldowns. There's real time. So there's a clock on the top left, and you guys saw it earlier. But you have to think tactically about how to allocate your characters in the best routes so that you don't spend too much time doing it. Otherwise, you'll fail.
Yeah. Alright. So we're about to go. I think we're dealing with some mages.
Yeah. So Veronica's story is always dealing with mages, whether they're good mages or there's a mutiny somewhere that she has to relentlessly crush. But yeah, lots of mages, and I think there are a lot of zombies and monsters.
Yeah, slimes.
Yeah, so her story is really funny. It's mostly contained within herself. She doesn't like to deal with the other princesses too much.
Yeah.
She's kind of a recluse in that sense. So there's a lot of issues that she tries to resolve in her own kingdom because everything's chaos. It's anarchy in the mage world. So she's got a lot to deal with on her own.
We're supposed to have our squadron here. We do actually attack with us. Really good at stunning people, just a combat thing.
Yeah.
But I believe you can also customize them if you go into commander menu.
Right. So your soldiers, those 6 guys that are following you, they can be customized, and they're also different. So they have several attacks that can help you do. They have regular attacks. They have the strong attacks that use a resource. And, there's a lot of different kinds. So the ones that you just saw were mage type, and there's a whole bunch of different kinds. From flying ones to tank ones to there's one that's like a huge mech. Instead of getting 2, you get 1.
Yeah.
So it's more heavy.
I noticed when I used a smaller, it was actually like a monster too that you usually fight.
Oh yeah,
they
you
gave
can
me a
use
bunch
brain
of them,
slimes.
like
Yeah.
3 each, and I was like, oh wow, I've got like 9 of these guys following me around.
Yeah, there's the small ones as well that have more. There's a lot of customization when it comes to the soldiers, and they play a really big part. They're used for a lot of things. Like if you don't have soldiers, if you run out of them, they can die in battle. So if they get hit too much, they'll take damage for you. So if you position yourself in a way that they take damage instead of you, they can die.
They can.
Yeah, and when they die though, there's a lot of things that you won't be able to do. You won't be able to use some abilities. You can't occupy relics. And a lot more than that.
So there's also a pretty cool thing. Fin combat too, which I meant to show off, but I didn't. Maybe we'll get to show off that after she's done talking. Because I know I've actually used it to save myself when I died. I believe if you hit it quick enough, you can resurrect yourself, which if you're only for the princess though, because you don't get praise gold as the knight.
Exactly.
There's some interesting ways you can use the praise gold mechanic.
Right. Praise gold doesn't have just an effect on story, but you can also use it. So here's a story, praise gold. So it's really good to pay attention to what the princess is thinking or how she is to affect whether or not you praise her gold. But yeah, in battle, if you use it, you can use it anytime in battle. I think it's up to 3 times that you can use in battle. But it'll give you certain buffs. So if you use it in certain situations, like if you're you're about to faint and you use it, you might be able to get health or you can revive. If you use it while you're moving a lot, you'll get like a movement speed boost.
Yes. I know I use it for health a lot.
Yeah.
That's like my main use for the praise gold is, oh no, I'm low on health.
Right. The game gets really difficult really quickly, so it's really important to, I guess my advice is to try out a lot of things. There's a whole lot of customization. There's 4 princesses, and even in one playthrough you'll be able to play multiple princesses, get a glimpse into them, and after a certain point you can pick another princess and continue with her. So don't think that you're locked into any princess or any kind of play style. there's a lot of weapons also that you can drop and you can customize your character with.
Yeah.
Those don't just give you stat boosts, but they change your skills as well. So, you know, the gameplay is kind of like a simple arcade beat 'em up type thing. But there's a lot of depth and customization to it as well.
So no, right after I withdrew the princess, that's when her cooldown starts. But I want to show off the princess, so I'm speeding up time there. These are the relics, actually. We haven't talked about those yet.
Yeah, so I don't know if any of you guys have played pretty much in Princess, but the relics are traps, and they kind of share the same mechanic from that game. You can claim them, so they're neutral, and thematically they're kind of remnants from an ancient civilization. So if you claim them, you can use it. So if you press circle right here, it'll do it.
That poor slime.
Yeah, there's a lot of relics. So there are ones that do damage, ones that heal you, ones that snare them, and ones that like rotating wheels of death. They vary quite a bit. So she just scolded her right here.
Yeah.
Poor Veronica.
We won that battle.
Yeah, so it gets hard real quick. So like a lot of RPGs, they starts out pretty easy, where you just kind of kill things in one hit.
Yeah.
But it gets hard really, really quick. So that's when you have to start pay attention to all the different customization things, the praise and scold.
Scold her just because I skipped a lot of dialogue. It always, if you skip dialogue, it pauses on praise scold because that's a mechanic you have to do before you skip the rest of the dialogue.
Exactly.
Alright, I'm gonna skip just so we can get to some combat again. Alright, let's move her over.
There you go. As you guys can see, the clock is on the top left there. That's all real time, so you can fast forward time, but as your characters are moving from node to node, it takes time.
Yeah.
So in that sense, you can utilize your other commanders. So as you can see here, you're playing as a princess, as Veronica, but you can also play as an instructor, and you can also recruit additional commanders to help you. They all have their own unique skill sets. I mean, obviously Veronica is more of like a ranged area attacker, while the instructor is a sword user. So you get really a mix of gameplay, and you can allocate those characters and those squads everywhere else on the map as well. So if you have mission that wants you to go to 2 different places on the map, you can send 2 characters. And then obviously that gets a lot more complex when you have 3, 5, 6 squads. Yeah, so yeah, the tactical element is really dominant.
Battle done. I think this specific artifact is that lower defense? Or
This one is health.
Health, okay. Alright. So we're gonna wrap up here with Princess Guide and move on to our next game. As soon as that